Hi, Kevin Purcell for GottaBeMobile.com with my son Michael, helping me to give you a look at the Samsung Gear Live Android Wear watch. Now, as you can see, this is the Samsung Gear Live phone, and we've got it paired with this Samsung Galaxy Note. Understand that it can work with any Android phone that is running version 4.3 or higher. That means it'll also work with the HTC One or other phones like that. We've paired it with the HTC and it works just fine. The Samsung Gear Live phone, it looks similar to their previous Gear phone, or watches rather, and it has this metal aluminum band around it. It has a, not band, but rather casing around it. It has a hard plastic or hard rubber TPU, I think it is, band. The clasp on the back here, I actually really like the clasp because when you take it off, it's got a ton of little dot circles here that you can hook the clasp to. We'll show you the other end of it. You see there. And so if you got really big wrists or you like to wear your watch very loose, you can. Or if you're sort of a petite person and you want to go as narrow as possible, you can. Alright, one of the things you see here on the front is this beautiful screen. It's got a really nice color screen. It's a touch screen, and so you can see here that I can swipe and it brings up this Android Wear mini launcher, which we'll talk to you about in a minute. But the screen is bright and beautiful. Unfortunately, it times out really quickly. We'll just show you that. It's going to time out very fast within a few seconds. Notice it starts to go to sleep, and this is in the lower power mode, not off, but lower power mode. And you can't change that. If you want it always on, it'll kill your battery, but that's probably why they don't let you do it. So notice that my son has just gotten a notification, and you see it shows up here on his Android Wear watch. He can go this way, he can archive it, or he can reply to it. He can open it on the phone, which is a nice feature. Now, as we mentioned, it has this hard rubber band on it, but fortunately it just uses a standard watch band, and so if you know how to remove these and change these, you might need a special jeweler's tool to do that. You can actually remove this band and put on something else to match your style and your preference. Now, the watch face, as you'll see, doesn't have any buttons on it. One of the differences between this and the Pebble smartwatch is the Pebble has a button here, has an up and down button, and then a settings button here. But this one, notice it only has this one little button right there. What you do with that is you hold it down, and it brings up this menu, so you can always show the screen on, or you can adjust your brightness, put it in airplane mode, turn off the watch, reset it to factory set specs. You know, this is one way you can change the watch face. Notice it brings up all the watch face menu, which you can then swipe to. Most of these installed watch faces, to be honest with you, I think are ugly. I don't think they look nice at all. That's one of the nicer ones, but it's still not great. So you definitely are going to want to install third-party watch faces. Now here's two. One of them is this beautiful watch face, and then this weather watch face, which includes Yahoo weather and also your watch battery life, along with time and day and date information. That was my favorite, and this is the one that my son uses on his as well. And one of the complaints that I have about this watch is the touch sensitivity. Now notice it's doing okay here, but I've found that sometimes you have to kind of, you know, really work to make it work properly. Like if you have a notice that comes up on the screen, it's not always the best. You know, so we've got these things, and sometimes you have to swipe 2 or 3 times to get it to react. Now we really also don't like the battery life on it. If you've used the Pebble for any length of time, you know it lasts 3 to 5 days. Most watches, ordinary watches, will last months, if not years, on one battery. But on this one, on the back here, It has a couple of things. We'll talk about this that looks like a camera. That's exactly what it is. It's a little infrared camera that can measure your heart rate. But on here, you notice these little gold or copper rather connectors. That's so that you can charge the phone. It's got this thing that goes on. It's a little plate that goes on the back. Michael's going to put that on now. See the touches right there. You put it on. It snaps on, and then in the side here is a micro USB cable connection. And then at the other end of this, we have just a basic AC power cord. To get it off, you pull off on the edge of it. When these first came out, there were reports that people had problems getting it off and that it actually broke the plastic on the back of here. We haven't had any trouble with that. But this is not my favorite. I like the Pebble that has a magnetic connector, and I wish that this had something like that. I've got a little cheapy knockoff watch here, and it has just a basic micro USB port behind a little flap. I really wish this just had a micro USB or a magnetic connector instead of what they gave us. It's really the worst of all the watches that I've seen. The battery life on it for Android Wear watches is not bad. You get usually a full day. Sometimes I would have to charge it early in the evening, 9, 8, 9, 10 o'clock at night. Rarely. I would sometimes get could use it all day one day and then go into a second day. Not very often though. Other watches, like the Pebble, will give you 5 to 7 days, and that's a lot nicer. One other thing we wanted to say about the hardware that is a big plus is it is waterproof and dustproof. It has an IP67 rating, which is just about the best you can get for this. I have tested that by bathing in it. I've showered, not showered with it, I'm sorry. I've baptized. I'm a pastor of a church, and we baptize people in water. And I've baptized people wearing this. I took the ice bucket challenge wearing this and didn't have any trouble whatsoever. Android Wear is basically Google Now on your wrist. And you touch it, OK Google. And you notice that it brings up the OK Google. Whenever this is pulsing red, it is recognizing my voice. As you can see, it's actually recognizing and transposing my voice into words. And once I stop, it'll begin searching the web for that. See, there you go. The cards are easily swiped away when you get notifications. They show up as cards, and you swipe them away. You'll get notices for text messages, phone calls. You've already seen a Facebook message. Any calendar appointments will show up. We'll show you a text message now. So now I'm going to send a text from my iPhone to my son's phone. And it comes up and you can see. And so he can now swipe it again. That shows the conversation. He can reply via SMS. Or he can open it on the phone. Go ahead and reply on the phone.
Oh, sorry, hey.
So now he just sent me a message that says, oh, sorry. All right, so now I'm going to actually make a phone call from my phone. So you notice the phone wakes up and the watch. He can answer it. And you can sort of hear it because the speaker on this phone is fairly loud. But he could then go if he wanted to and change it without too much difficulty. I wish that it had a feature that would allow you to answer on the phone and have it automatically turn on the speakerphone on the phone. That would be a really cool feature. I would love to see that, but that's not something that it does. There is a third-party app, but it doesn't work very well, and it will do that, but it's just not very useful. Now, when you want to make a connection between your phone, what you do is you make sure the phone is on and the Bluetooth is turned on. Make sure the watch is turned on. You'll install this app called Android Wear, and it will then bring you through the process of connecting. Now, this Android Wear app will also handle some of the settings for the watch. Making the connection was fairly easy. We didn't have much difficulty. You got to make sure that you have other Bluetooth devices turned off so that there's not a compatibility problem, or not a competition rather, for the Bluetooth connection. But all in all, it works really well. So now we want to show you voice control, and the way you do that is from the home screen you say, "Okay Google, navigate home." And so it's going to take us to our home. It's figuring it out a little bit here, and it'll begin showing you the directions. Couldn't see it. Now the voice activation will do lots of things. You can call someone by saying call. You can search the internet for things. You can send a text message. You can create a note, a voice note, an appointment. There's just lots of different things that you can do. Various apps will allow you to do things. You can actually launch apps, start different apps from the watch. Now we just talked about apps. One of the ways that you can extend the functionality of the watch is to install various apps on the phone. One of our favorites is this Android Wear Mini Launcher. What it does is it puts a grid of icons to allow you to launch various apps. And so, for example, it's got he's got Phone Finder installed on here. And that allows, if he's lost his phone, if my son has lost his phone, he can launch that. We told you before about this little camera. This is an infrared camera that can actually sense the blood flow in your wrist. So Michael's going to put this watch on now. So now we want to demonstrate two of the functionalities of this watch that are good for fitness-minded people. One of them is the pedometer that allows you to record your steps. The other one is that heart rate monitor. We just showed you the camera on the back of it. So Michael is now going to show you his heart rate.
Okay, Google, show my heart rate.
So now that little camera on the back is sensing the blood flow through his wrist, measuring the heart rate. He's supposed to keep perfectly still. It seems like it's having trouble. There, we finally got it. 97 beats per minute. Now he can also, if he wants, show his steps today.
Okay, Google, show my steps for today. Stats. Let's try it again.
So it didn't recognize his voice properly. That's okay.
Okay, Google, show my steps for today.
And there you go. So now the big question is, should you buy the Samsung Galaxy Live Android Wear watch? At $200, I don't think it's a good deal. My son actually really likes it, but he didn't have to pay $200 for it because I gave it to him. I think the problem is the voice recognition works most of the time. The screen is sensitive, but sometimes it's not sensitive enough. And I don't think it just really looks nice enough. It gets too much attention for the wrong reason. It has a very geeky look to it. So I'm not as pleased as I had hoped I would be with it. It looks a lot like the Gear 2, which I liked a lot more because of a couple of features it had, one of which was the Bluetooth headset feature that I could talk through the wrist, through the watch to people on my phone. And this doesn't have that. It also doesn't have the camera. That was a minor thing. I didn't really think that was that big of a plus. But some people upgrading or downgrading, as they might call it, from the Gear 2, which was a Samsung-only product, to the Gear Live, which is a Google Now Android Wear product, they might be disappointed that those features aren't included. But I do like the fact that it's very durable. You're not going to probably break this thing anytime soon. You're not going to ruin it with water anytime soon. It is comfortable to wear. It's not too heavy, even though it is very big. And despite that it is a large chunk on your wrist, of all of the Gear Live or the Android Wear watches that are out right now, a lot of people like the Moto 360 more than this. I don't like the Moto 360 at all. I think the round screen with that little flat part on the bottom is ugly if you've seen one of those. and it just looks a lot thicker than this, even though this is about the same. I think the LG G Watch is really ugly. I would never want that one. So, you know, it's sort of in the middle. It doesn't look as pretty as the Apple Watch that's coming out next year, but for almost twice as much. And so I really don't think anybody has nailed the smartwatch yet. I think of all of them, Pebble's may be the best. This one's close second. Other people might swap that preference, like my son. He prefers this over the Pebble. But this has been Kevin Purcell with help from my son Michael with the Samsung Gear Live Android Wear Watch for GottaBeMobile. Thanks for watching.